welcome back. Welcome back to Matt Opens Toys. Getting started promptly, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. Usual Matt time, usual Matt channel. Hello, I assume my wife. Hi. So welcome to this week's stream of Matt Opens Toys. You can see sitting on my desk our fantastic official new logo that I slapped together with some Sharpies. I tend to think that production value is one of the cornerstones, the hallmarks of this very professional style Twitch streaming channel. Is it considered a channel? Is that what they call it? Just a Twitch streamer. I need to put this somewhere where it's not going to get ruined. But hi, yeah. So it's Wednesday, my dudes. And that means it's time once again to open some toys. You can see we have some updates and new recruits to my desk friends. We have War Greymon, Cyborg Playmobil Lady, Harley and Ivy in a car. Spider-Gwen is hanging in there. We got Mavis, as usual. Billy. Longtime viewers may recognize Billy. And then we got Rat Trap. And this little Lego surf lady. Whatever. Hello, other viewer. I can't really keep track of all this stuff, but hi. So tonight I was strongly considering doing the open of my new X-Men wave of Marvel Legends from House of X, Powers of 10. My friend Levi is very adamant about getting the name correct, and it is Powers of 10, even though it would make sense to be Powers of X, but whatever. But unfortunately, I'm still missing one of my dudes from that wave, so we're doing something a little different tonight than what I had maybe originally planned. I do have a nice little backlog of a brand of toys that I had kind of been trying to transition out of buying. I don't know if I've already mentioned this on stream before, but I buy a lot of toys, and part of the problem with that is that you run out of space. Sometimes there's budgetary concerns, things of that nature as well. But for me, primarily, it's more of a space issue. There's only so much room to display things nicely, and I really hate to just have a bunch of things sitting up in storage because it's just, it's kind of sad. If Toy Story taught me anything, it didn't really. But, just the idea of you have these little nice art objects, mass-produced art objects, and them just being tucked away and nobody can see it, interact with it. What's the purpose, But, so, all of that to say, I'd kind of been trying to streamline what I was collecting to a certain extent. In some ways, I've been successful. In more accurate ways, I haven't been successful at all, because even the brands that I was kind of trying to wean myself off of, I find myself drawn back to. And I think I maybe mentioned this particular property before in the stream as one that I collected in the past, but I had been kind of trying to get away from. It's not working. They've done a very good job of getting back into a era of this particular franchise that I'm much more interested in. And so that brings us to tonight's subject, the Transformers. Transformers is the brand in question for the evening. You can see I named the stream TRANSTRAVAGANZA. I thought it was a wonderfully bad name. But yeah, tonight we're just going to be opening a bunch of Transformers toys. Um, you got your buddy Rat Trap sitting there. He was kind of like a teaser. He was showing what's going to happen tonight. Rat Trap, one of my favorite characters from this overall property, but definitely from Beast Wars. Beast Wars, I would be inclined to say, is still probably my favorite version of Transformers in general. So like I said, I mean, Transformers was a thing. It is an awful pun. Yeah, thank you. So Transformers is a thing that I have been trying to get away from. But they recently started pandering to the Beast Wars crowd. They're making very nice new Beast Wars era, Beast Wars inspired toys, and Beast Wars was definitely my jam. It was the imprint or lineup of Transformers that I guess came around when my brain was advanced enough for me to have any kind of understanding or appreciation of the story. I think it itself was kind of a more, I hesitate to say mature, but I think it had a little bit more of a narrative thrust than like the original Transformers cartoon, which I'm sure maybe I probably saw an episode or two, but my brain was still too squishy at the time for me to really have like a deep connection to those Transformers characters. But these guys, Rat Trap, Dinobot, Rhinox, Cheetor, Optimus Primal, all your friends. I was a big fan of them. I actually already have a few of these new Kingdom Transformers. I have the Black Arachnia from this line. I have the Optimus Primal, Cheetor. I'm looking forward to whatever additional releases we end up getting out of this revival of Beast Wars. This Dinobot, though, is really great. He's a larger size Dinobot. In the original release of Beast Wars was a deluxe. Deluxe is a little bit smaller than this. This is what they call a Voyager class. I think in the Beast Wars era, they called this a Mega for the size. But he was one of the taller characters on the show. I think, he was kind of second to Megatron in terms of size. This is T-Rex Megatron as opposed to Gun Megatron. I don't even know if they have a picture of that. But T-Rex Megatron, oh yeah, you can kind of see him. He's like right there. Yeah, but Dinobot was basically like his second in command. Really cool character. He started off as a Predacon, and he very early became the first defector from the Predacon Alliance, and he ended up joining with the Maximals, who were the good guys. The tiny Megatron, little tiny T-Rex. But he joined up with the Maximals. Maximals were the good guys. They were the current generation of the Autobots or descendants of the Autobots. I don't really know all the lore. I kind of, as much as I love that show, it's been a long, long time since I've seen it, and I don't know how much of it really translates into whatever current Transformers canon might be, for whatever that's worth. But Dinobot, really cool character. One of, I would say maybe one of my favorites from that show. I mean, I really kind of love that whole cast. Looks very cool. See, they actually put him pretty high up in this packaging, so he looks like he's going to be a real tall boy. And he's a tall boy, but look at all that. That's like, you see him in the box in his little coffin, and you're like, this is going to be a big boy. And he's like an okay-sized boy. He probably scales appropriately with the rest of the crew. That's something that these new Beast era figures have been very good about, is for the most part, even though this Rat Trap is definitely, I would say, too small. Yeah, I know. I think maybe when he's out, I might be able to pull the leg joints down a little bit, add some additional height. But so this is Rat Trap, frequently seen in scenes. So you can see, I mean, he is quite a bit bigger than Rat Trap, but this Rat Trap, I would say, is probably a lot smaller than he should be in terms of the scale of the show. Rat Trap was my absolute favorite character, still is, but I digress. Stand up, Rat Trap. Now, Dinobot, like I said, very cool character. I don't, would it be a bad idea to get into spoilers for this very old CG cartoon from the 90s? Does anybody care? Is anybody opposed to having the plot ruined for you?
Everybody wants to know the spoilers.
Everybody wants to know the Dinobot spoilers. So, like I said, Dinobot, he is a defector from the Predacons, who were the Decepticon descendants or whatever, the current generation. They were the bad guys, right? So he ends up joining the Maximals, and kind of, at first, it's sort of an uneasy transition for him. They kind of don't trust him, all that good stuff. The things that you would expect. All that stuff that I just ate up as a kid. Yes. But he also has a very tragic end. He has like a noble sacrifice, which I think is actually the name of the episode that he dies in. Spoilers, Dinobot dies in Beast Wars. Yes. Yes, Beast Wars had a plot.
Guess what, Boo? I just found out this game is selling for like $400 on eBay.
Really? Is this like an ad? Are you going to list it?
I'm going to list this game. If you have $400 and want Tulip, hit me up.
Pretty nice. So this is great. In terms of being pretty accurate to the show model. That was one of the neat things about Beast Wars at the time, is that it was a 3D CG show, and kind of for the first time, you were in a better position to have the toys look a lot like the models, because they were kind of both going to be little 3D objects. So you could theoretically make toys that were a little bit more accurate to the way that the show itself looked. I know that, I don't know, I think the original Transformers show, like, they did their best, but there was a lot of just like the engineering back then for toys isn't really where it is today. So you can't pull his hips down. Sometimes on some toys nowadays you can pull the hips down. That'll get you a little bit of additional height. He looks a little bit maybe bulkier because I was anticipating that he'd be taller, but he looks very nice. I mean, this head sculpt in particular is great. Like, it is perfect to the show, essentially. Even like his overall bulk and silhouette, this is all pretty dang accurate to the show, which is great. The original Dinobot toy did not really, I mean, it wasn't awful. I think I didn't have Dinobot of the original Beast Wars toys, which is crazy because I had a lot of them. But Dinobot, one of the main cast, I think, I kind of started collecting the Beast Wars, I would say, towards the end of the first wave being available. So I had some of the first wave. I got really lucky and found a Rhinox a little bit after the first wave was really commonly distributed, but there was a couple guys that I had missed from that first wave. But basically from the second wave on, I was pretty much a completionist because I was a spoiled kid. I had pretty much every Beast Wars you could imagine. except for a few guys here and there. But this guy's a great representation of the character. Again, quite a bit more screen accurate than the original deluxe Dinobot toy. Also, despite the fact that he is maybe a little bit shorter than I thought he might be based off of the packaging, he, I would say, is probably still a little bit bigger than the original deluxe. So still, I would say overall, just a nice upgrade. There's a lot of like texturing because they did a good job trying to make the beast modes look pretty good. That kind of brings me to one general point about Transformers and Transformers toys nowadays. For me, they used to in the past package these guys where for Beast Wars they would be in their beast mode, meaning Dinobot turns into a velociraptor if it's not obvious from some of the little kibble that's on him or little design elements. I'm not reading the instructions right now. I probably should before I do anything that would damage the figure. But yeah, this guy, the whole point of Transformers, right, is that they have multiple modes. That's been like the gimmick since the get-go, and so it's still, survives as the gimmick until this day. That was accurate for Beast Wars as well, except they had, instead of a robot or vehicle mode, they had a robot or a beast mode. Back in the day, and I don't know when this changed, generally speaking, back in the day they used to package them in the boxes in their non-robot mode. So it would be, you'd go and you'd look and see a little velociraptor sitting in a plastic package, and you'd buy the velociraptor, and then part of the fun of the toys was it's kind of like solving a little puzzle in a way. Some of them were simple enough that you could just kind of intuit what you should be doing. Others were a little bit more difficult to transform, and so they'd give you the instructions on how to transform. That's a lot. Kind of just looks like he's breakdancing in several of these steps. Great. But part of the fun was that it was packaged in the mode that you'd have to transform them from that mode if you wanted to play with them in the robot mode. I don't know how much the transformation gimmick is an actual thing that people are attached to. I think it's cool. Obviously Transformers, like, that's the whole thing about it, is that you're kind of getting two toys at once. I think at least that was the original kind of gimmick for it. But yeah, kind of that excitement of it was packaged in beast mode, and then I get to solve a little puzzle, and now I have a cool little robot guy. Like, that was all part of the opening process. And like it says, this is Matt Open's toys, so I'm a big fan of the opening process and all the little like ritual that comes along with that. Sometime in the more modern era of Transformers, they shifted to packaging them where they're already in the robot modes in the packaging, which is a little bit, I don't want to say that it's not a letdown for other people, but for me in particular, I find it a small degree of a bummer, just because I don't really want to go through the trouble of transforming this guy into his beast mode. I know that that's part of the fun for some people, but I like him in his robot mode. I know that if I turn him into his beast mode, I'm just going to end up turning him right back into his robot mode. And with these newer figures, the engineering has gotten really good so they can make things look accurate. But again, this is more steps than I'm interested in doing. Like, look at that. That's a 28-step transformation. Are you kidding me? 28 steps? It would be easier to give up drinking. Isn't that funny? Yes, I am a filthy casual. But it's more like I just, I like the display. I like the display of these big robot guys or little robot guys or just interesting robot guys. And that's the exciting part to me. So the fact that they get packaged in a way where they're already in robot mode, for me, it's a little bit of a detractor overall to the whole experience. I mean, I still like them as toys quite a bit. But just me and the way that I'm going to enjoy them and display them, it's kind of, I don't know. I just kind of wish that they would at least provide the option of, like, why not both? Why not package it both ways? Like, release the same figure in two different potential, like, configurations. Sell them 50% robot mode, 50% beast mode, and then for, you know, grown children like myself, I could buy the beast mode variant, and then I'd get the little fun of transforming him out of that into the robot mode. That's my tip. That's my request. Hasbro, I know you're listening. I'm a very influential streamer, so I know my opinion matters greatly to you. Package them as an option in their other mode besides the robot mode. I'm not going to sit here and transform these guys while I open them. I think that would just end up taking too long. Even though obviously I don't care about taking a long time because I'm just sitting here talking about nothing. This is a nice looking figure. Yeah, it's great. I like him a lot. I'm going to have him just chill out here in the back. So that is one of the Transformers that we're going to be opening tonight. But I actually have quite a few Transformers to get to. So, but Beast Wars, yeah, again, probably still my favorite version of Transformers by a long shot. I would say Beast Wars and then Transformers Animated, which again, some of it is, to me, I mean, it's opinion, obviously, but it's the quality of the show and then the time in my life when I interacted with it. I think Transformers Animated was a very, very charming, well-animated show. I have a lot of those toys. I think I've mentioned this before in stream. That was an animated series that Derek J. Wyatt, who I think kind of rose to prominence to a certain extent within the animation community, because he helped to design the original, or I don't know if it's the original, but the Cartoon Network Teen Titans show. He did some of the designs for that. And then he kind of went on, it was out of left field, to do some designs for, well, I think he designed actually all of the robots in Transformers Animated. And it's just like that kind of very crazy stylized version where I think when the original art came out for Transformers Animated, a lot of people were like skeptical of Hasbro's ability to even make toys that could look. Teen Titans was a cool show. I didn't super watch it, but visually amazing. But like I was saying with Transformers Animated, when the first like promotional material was coming out, people didn't even think that they would be able to make toys that looked like that art because it was like so stylized, strong, geometric shapes. But for the most part, I would say they were really screen accurate. They transformed really well. They looked good in the robot mode and the vehicle mode. I think for the most part, they were actually pretty easy to transform as well. So those were actually some toys that I really did like. I would have them in both modes because the transformation was pretty fun as well. So yeah, Beast Wars, Transformers Animated. Transformers Animated, probably in another 10 years, people will start to feel nostalgic for that. And Hasbro is good at cashing in on those nostalgic feelings. So I'm sure we'll end up getting like an anniversary edition of Transformers Animated somewhere down the line. But no time right away. Now, as far as other versions of Transformers that I was a fan of, I wasn't a huge first generation guy. I was a little too young. But I think I mentioned this before. I was a big fan of the movie. I think we had the movie on VHS. So that was one of the things, is that I'm sure they maybe had some VHS, but I guess if you didn't like record at home yourself, there's going to be quite a bit. I'm going to set them up here just to show you what I'm going to be opening. But yeah, if you hadn't like recorded your favorite Transformers episodes yourself from the TV onto your VHS, then you couldn't really just go back and watch your favorite episodes again and again and again. But I had the movie on VHS, so I was able to rewatch the movie as much as I want. I think the movie is kind of divisive for fans of G1 Transformers. I mean, it made some pretty bold swings. It killed most of the main cast and then replaced them with new characters, which carried over to the cartoon show. And then I think you had people that were very much opposed to it. I mean, they killed Optimus Prime. That's like the big Transformers guy. And they replaced him with Hot Rod, oftentimes referred to as Rodimus by Hasbro, because it's very difficult to copyright the name Hot Rod because it's such a broad concept. But I mean, again, I mostly was exposed to the movie. I mostly had access to watching the movie. So I was a fan of the movie. I was a fan of the characters that they introduced in it. I didn't think a lot about them killing Optimus Prime. I mean, there was still a lot of Optimus Prime toys. It's not like Prime is any less important in the overall like iconography or mythos or whatever of the series. So how mad can you be that they killed Optimus Prime? I guess back then there was really just the one cartoon, so they killed the main character and you don't know if he's ever going to come back in any meaningful way. So I could see it at the time. I was too small to care. Didn't know anything about it. Didn't realize that it would be, potentially years until I saw my buddy Optimus again. Whatever. I think at that point, like by the time I could really recall some of them, they were probably on to like Generation 2 or whatever. But yeah, so I was a big fan of the movie. These are toys that are inspired by the movie directly, as you can see, based off of the packaging on it. So these are made to be very accurate to the screen models as they appeared in those movies. They all come with like little display backgrounds that recreate scenes specifically from the movie. In this guy's case, Hot Rod, he comes actually with a lot of props that are specific to like scenes in the movie. So these, I had some of these characters like Jazz, Blur, Cup, Hot Rod. I actually had got versions of these when I was still collecting Transformers a little bit more regularly from what they call the Generations line. Generations was kind of like their main Transformers line for a while. It was just them basically making more up-to-date, modern, improved engineering versions of a lot of characters. This is all from the Studio series, which is a new lineup. They're a little bit, I think they're priced a little bit higher than what Generations was. These are still in scale with Deluxe, but I want to say they're maybe a little bit more expensive than a regular mainline Deluxe toy would be. This guy's a Voyager, that's why he's in that larger box. I do actually have one other one from the Studio series that I also want to open tonight. The big guy, this is a leader class. This is Grimlock. He is a Dinobot, not the aforementioned Dinobot that I already opened from Beast Wars. But in Generation 1, there was just the Dinobots, which was like a group of robots that were also dinosaurs. Hey, creative names. And it comes with Wheelie. Wheelie's kind of weird. He doesn't transform, I don't think, because he's like pre-posed in a strange way. Again, this is kind of a more direct reference to certain things within the movie. We're going to be opening all of those. That's a lot to open, actually. But some of these guys, I have a lot of Transformers. You don't even know. This isn't anywhere near my power level of Transformers. Some of these guys, I hate to spoil it for you. I had already done my little thing and sliced the tape. Please don't be angry at me, chat. I hadn't actually opened it. I had just cut the tape. So we're still getting the full open experience. Don't feel cheated. I'm going to move these guys out of the way so we can give them all their proper due and a little bit of attention, TLC, things of that nature. They've been sitting on the shelf. I don't leave my stuff on the floor, so it's easier to hide it. Again, these are toys where I would be happy if they had them in their car or vehicle modes or dinosaur modes, because I probably would have put in the time and effort to transform them on stream for you guys, because I would have been very excited to see what their robot modes look like. Since they are in their robot modes, and since I have so many to open, I will probably not be transforming them on stream. But I'll just kind of show them off, show off some of the little accessories and things, and again, just kind of remark upon them, because these are very nice. There's a lot of different lines of Transformers that they actually make. There was a high-end collector's line that they called Masterpiece. I don't know if they're really planning on continuing to do Masterpiece. I think they might. I guess the next Masterpiece that's supposed to come out is actually from the Beast Wars era. They're going to make a Masterpiece Tigatron. And he looks nice. I mean, the Masterpiece are all really great. They're made typically out of a little bit like higher grade materials and plastics. The paint applications tend to be a little bit more impressive as well. But I think in the past, some of the appeal of the Masterpiece line was that they had sculpts that were very, very accurate, and they were made with, kind of cutting edge engineering so that they could get profiles and appearances for the vehicle and the robot mode that just looked really screen accurate to the character. But these studio series are kind of giving them a run for their money because they're pretty darn screen accurate. They have great silhouettes, and their appearance really matches how they looked on screen. Jazz, I think, was actually part of the original show even before the movie. He was voiced by, is it Scatman Crothers? Yeah. Very distinctive voice. The Transformers movie had a really impressive voice cast, actually, including Orson Welles. It was the last movie that Orson Welles worked on. He actually died during production, and then at the end, they ended up having to have Leonard Nimoy step in to do the rest of the voice acting for the villain of the film, named Unicron. But this Jazz is one of the few survivors of the great cast purge that happens at the beginning of the movie. Basically, the Decepticons show up and they kill off most of the TV show cast at the beginning, and then we get to follow Judd Nelson and his wacky team as they try and save the day after all of their friends and leaders have been brutally murdered, because there's a big old murder planet on its way. If you haven't watched the Transformers the movie, it's a pretty fun movie. Obviously, it's kind of childish, I would say. It's made for kids. It has a song by Weird Al in the soundtrack. But this Jazz figure, very nice. Again, I have a Generations Jazz that is kind of similar. I would say this is still better quality. Let me get him a little bit closer to the camera, just so that you can get a bit of a look. Let me see if it'll focus on his face a little bit. I don't know. Maybe it won't. Hello. Yeah, there we go. So again, very accurate to the character. The engineering allows basically for the robot and the vehicle mode to look very accurate. They've improved on the engineering, so there's actually effectively a lot of good articulation on this. A lot of the prior ones, they didn't really build them in mind with joints. They kind of built them just around the overall transformation gimmick. So it was more like, does it functionally get to be a robot? Does it functionally get to be a car? That's our main concern. This one, in the robot mode, has a lot of what you would expect as typical like action figure articulation from, say, something like a Marvel Legends or a Fortnite figure for the kids out there. I want a Chug Jug with you. Pinhead, I mean, I guess he's got a big chest. He's got a pretty big chest. But that's accurate, again, to the character overall. This Jazz is very nice. Again, I'm not going to bother putting him into his vehicle mode, but I can assure you the vehicle mode as well is pretty accurate to the way that vehicle was depicted in the movie. Again, it comes with this nice little backdrop so you can pose him on there. All of them come with it. Kind of just a nice little feature. It's, you know, like the Chug Jug reference? I like the Chug Jug reference. Has everybody gone and watched Praz D's Goofy Chug Jug cover? It's great. Yeah. Now, Cup and I want to say Blur too were actually introduced in the film. Blur was young Matthew's standout fave. He was voiced by a somewhat famous like commercial voice performer. He basically, in the 80s, if you had like fine print that you needed recited very, very quickly, he would be the one that go in and he would start talking very, very fast. You know, that was like his whole thing. He spoke very, very quickly. Quite the opposite of what I normally do on these streams, because I think I talk almost painfully slow. I would say maybe a little slower than I normally talk. I want to make sure you guys can hear me. That's it. But Blur was a big fave of mine early on because he talked so fast, and young Matthew was very captivated by the speed with which the man could toss out them syllables. Blur, they got the same voice actor to reprise the role in Transformers Animated, except that Blur had like a really crazy, sleek design. I remember he was in, I want to say, season 2, and you got to see him in the show. I think maybe he was teased at the very end of season 1, and then he was like really in season 2. But you got to see the design a long time before the toy came out, and I was so hyped to get Transformers Animated Blur. I still think, as far as toys were to go, probably one of my favorite Transformers toys is that Transformers Animated Blur. Oh my goodness. I hate when the straps are like so close to the body. It's just hard to get to it. Let me see. I just would hate to do any scratching onto him as I try and... Let's see. I think I can do this. Okay. Brief pause. BRB. I need to grab some scissors. It'll be like 2 seconds. Go watch that Praz D Goofy cover again, and I'll be back before it's done. All right, I'm back with some scissors. See, didn't take that long at all. Okay, great. Now that he is free, all right. So Blur, yeah, he looks very 80s. He has like a really, really 80s design. Pretty great. I think it's a little bit less timeless than some of like the original Transformers designs. I feel like some of those characters, like Jazz even, it doesn't scream 80s to me. It's sort of timeless. I think that a lot of vehicles kind of have a timeless quality to them in terms of the way that they're designed, and then a lot of like vehicle motifs tend to carry over even into modern day. So it gives sort of a timelessness to say, like, you know, your Optimus Primes, your I don't know, your Ratchet, all of those like Generation 1 Transformers characters. But the ones that were designed for the movie, some of them, their robot modes were just like made up space vehicles, things that were, you know, quote unquote vehicles on Cybertron, their home planet. And so they kind of had more wacky like concept car designs from the 80s. So like the boxiness of him just has this really great, like clean 80s aesthetic. Even the face, like, kind of has sort of that, like, yeah, that's pretty cool. I feel like a lot of the first Transformers, they kind of had either somewhat generic looking faces or sometimes heavily obscured faces, which were fine. I think for the movie, maybe for the fact that it was going to be a movie, they kind of put a little bit more character into the face, probably for the purposes of like them being able to emote and the acting in the animation. But just a lot to like, in my opinion, a lot to love about this design. I did have another Blurr from the Generations line, the one that I've mentioned previously. I would say that Blurr was not really accurate to the look of Blurr at all. They've made a few Blurrs over the years, and this one I would definitely say is by far the most screen accurate. There's things about his design that are still a little clunky, like the thickness on the sleeves here, but I think even with that, that is fairly screen accurate. It maybe is a little bit bulkier than the on-screen model. He also has a feature that is common in some Transformers that's called light piping. Light piping is basically they use a transparent plastic behind the eyes so that when you have a light source, look at that, kind of cool, right? A lot of Transformers, well, the ones that it makes sense, a lot of them have that light piping feature, if you can see their eyes. But Blurr, again, one of my favorites as far as the design. The character always like appealed to young Matthew when I started watching animated, and he was also voiced by the same guy and just had like the coolest design. Blurr just remains a fave Transformer for me in general. If you get a second, I encourage you go look up Transformers animated Blurr, because that design is just rad as heck. 10 out of 10, one of the best. Another character introduced in the movie is Cup. Cup, I think, is kind of meant to be a little bit of a joke, because I think he's kind of meant to have sort of a retired cop thing going on. Not here to discuss the politics of cops, but he's like the retired cop stereotype that you see sometimes. He has like an old man voice. His robot mode is basically like the Cybertron version of a pickup truck. He kind of has a raspy voice. He was definitely like the mentor figure in the movie, opposite Judd Nelson's Hot Rod, who obviously was like the young, impulsive kid that goes on his hero journey to end up a little bit more mature. Well, this is your mentor-y Ben Kenobi type. Past tense of, yeah, it's true. I'm a cop. I was a cup. But Cup's still pretty cool. This is another one of those cases where they've definitely made Cup figures before. I would say far and away this is the most screen accurate that Cup has ever been. That's one of the big things with the Studio Series. Again, the articulation, pretty improved overall. Nice face sculpts. All of these guys have very like unique dynamic appearances. It looks like he does have transparent eyes, but I don't think there's any actual space for light piping to take place for him. He has maybe one of the cooler backgrounds. Maybe to make up for the fact that he's supposed to be, maybe, depending on your perspective, a more dull character. Again, introduced in the movie, and then he became a TV show cast member because that's what happened with everybody from the movies. Yeah, tentacles. I'm sure there's lots of robo tentacle images involving Transformers that you could look up if that's what floats your boat. Nice little silhouette, nice proportions, I would say, overall for the character design. Again, these are all very well designed, well engineered characters, I would say. Like just high quality overall in terms of their appearance and their aesthetics. They kind of have silhouettes that I would say must have informed or influenced maybe some of the designers of maybe Mega Man or Mega Man X. You can see he's got like these nice big chunky boots, reminiscent of Mega Man X. I'm a big fan of that look and those proportions, and I just feel like these are kind of similar in that regard. A very nice figure. I am excited to open these. I would say maybe even a little bit more than some of the other figures that I've opened recently, because I actually did carve out a nice little space in this big display case that's to the right of where I record these videos. So I've been waiting to open these guys so that I can put them in there once they are all opened and good to go. But all three of these, I would say, really excellent figures. I don't know, I tend to go to Target at lunch, and then me and Liz, my wife, we also tend to just drop in on Targets as our version of fun, since pandemic or whatever. Shopping is one of the few joys remaining. But I don't know how hard these guys are to actually get at retail if you're someone looking for them. I think they're a mix of easy to find and not. That means nothing. I don't even know why I said that. But if you like them, go out and get them. They're nice figures. That's the takeaway there. We're going to open Hot Rod next, and then we'll move on to Grimlock, and I'll check to see how much time has passed, because like I said, I like to keep these around, an hour and some change. I'm not like a marathon streamer guy or anything. Hot Rod, again, he was basically your main character. I mean, it was definitely an ensemble cast, but he's the one going on the hero's journey, learning his lesson, very kind of standard hero's journey sort of thing. You can look up Story Circle and all that stuff if you want to have an idea. Or watch the movie. I mean, like I said, the movie's actually pretty fun. It's I don't think it's that long. I would say he has maybe one of the more boring backdrops. I believe this is the interior of Unicron, who is, again, the bad guy. But it just kind of, it's familiar if you've seen the movie, but it's not the most dynamic. I would say, actually, most of the deluxe guys there in the back have more interesting looking scenes, but I could see why they would go with such a iconic, if you've seen the film, scene for Hot Rod. So like I mentioned, Hot Rod actually voiced by Judd Nelson, who you might know from The Breakfast Club, or you might not know him at all. He was also in, was he in Reservoir Dogs? He was, right? Somebody in chat confirm for me. Somebody that's seen Reservoir Dogs. Oh, wow. This is another one where a lot of these little ties are very close to the body of the figure. And so they're hard to remove. Again, Hot Rod, I would say a divisive figure. Hot Rod who then becomes Hot Rodimus. I don't know how much the name also pissed off the people that were just big Optimus Prime fans, who had their favorite character killed and replaced in like the second season of their TV show. But I didn't have anything against the guy. I liked him. I liked the voice performance. He was a fun, impulsive kid character who became like a cool leader dude. The kind of stuff that predictably would appeal to a young Matthew, maybe. I would say young boys in general, maybe. This is another case of them just making a very wonderfully accurate Hot Rod. Hot Rod has a masterpiece that was, rightfully considered probably the best interpretation of the character for a long time. I would say now, again, even though a masterpiece will have probably a little bit higher quality plastic, it'll have certain paint applications that might look, a little bit more, just like higher quality. It's more, not quite a bespoke item, but definitely has that general quality in comparison to these mass production figures. But this guy, again, some people would say gives the masterpiece a pretty good run for its money. I would say, again, really, really nice, accurate appearance to the film, good articulation. Waist swivels are something that pretty much all of these have had, and I want to say for a long time, Transformers, most of the ones I can remember having, didn't really have that, even up to like pretty recently. It allows you to do things like, put them in kind of running style poses, real actiony kind of things going on that Transformers maybe didn't used to be that good at doing. It's a good little like football running forward pose. I would say it's really only recently, I would say even maybe with the studio series, that actual Hasbro, Takara Tomy produced toys are doing this kind of thing. Third party is a big thing for Transformers fans. I would say third party manufacturers, basically they just do like unofficial versions of these characters that have, identical appearances more or less, but they'll like take Hot Rod and they'll name him like Fast Car Man, and you can go and spend $400 on Fast Car Man. Third party, they've been doing this kind of level of engineering and having screen accuracy and very posable toys. They've been doing that for a long time with third party, but third party also are quite a bit more expensive than the actual Hasbro Takara Tomy toys. This Hot Rod is really nice. Really, really nice. Third party, you have some other benefits too. Like third party will have a tendency of using a lot of like die cast in their production. So they're like very weighty. They have that nice solid metal feel. I've never really bought any third party Transformers. I don't think that that's a Pandora's box that I'm interested in opening. Like I said, even for a while I was kind of trying to stay away from Transformers as a line to collect. He comes with like a lot of little like effects parts. So this is the Autobot Matrix of Leadership. This was inside of Optimus Prime's chest when he was brutally murdered in the first like 10 minutes of that film, which it takes Hot Rod basically the entire run of the film to realize that he should inherit this mantle instead of the other obvious like leader type Ultra Magnus. I don't know if they're gonna do a studio series Ultra Magnus. He was another, like he was a an Optimus Prime kind of analog or parallel, which he continues to be, I think, in the series to this day. He was actually kind of like the overall leader in Transformers Animated, which I can't recommend enough. Transformers Animated, great show. But yeah, like the entire movie, it basically, it seems like Ultra Magnus would be the one that would inherit the matrix of leadership, but Hot Rod ends up being the one that, destiny calls to him. And, like I said, I was a big fan of that character. There's a lot of gimmicks built into this particular figure that allow you to recreate sort of iconic scenes from the movie itself. He has you can pop open the head and it gives you access to like this little like visor that shows up in a scene or two in the movie. So now he's got these rad, look at that. What a cool guy, huh? But yeah, there's a lot of like features that are built in that again, just allow you to create or recreate some pretty iconic scenes from the movie. A lot of accessories included. That's another, I would say, a difference with the studio series, especially with this, the ones that are like Voyager level, is that Transformers toys in general, they don't tend to necessarily have a ton of accessories. They might have like a laser rifle. But since the main draw is the figure themselves and the transforming gimmick, you tend to not see them include a whole bunch of other stuff. I mean, this is one that includes like, part effects, which is, again, something that you might see a lot with Marvel Legends, but you don't tend to see it terribly much, or you didn't in the past with Transformers. Yeah, he will. He's going to kick all your butts. Also has the ability to open the hands. A lot of times in the past, they would be molded like this, and there wouldn't be any kind of articulation. But this one lets him actually, like you can pose him holding that matrix of leadership. They actually kind of give you an idea of that on his transformation instructions. I think it's a very good title. We here at Matt Opens Toys do fully support the LGBTQ A+ community in all their forms, with all their stars and all their stripes. So it's a Transstravaganza in so many ways, and I hope that everybody can enjoy it. It's all about coming together and enjoying some Transformers. Lots of little accessories that he comes packaged with. You can swap out one of his hands with this little blade. I mean, he's got sunglasses, he's got guns, he's got blade hand, he's got Autobot Matrix of Leadership. I mean, come on. This is a fully decked out figure. And again, very, very screen accurate. I mean, he looks great. If you watch the movie, this is very, very accurate to the movie. And I had, again, a Hot Rod toy from the Generations line, and he just looks like garbage compared to this guy. I would say the same for pretty much all of the Generations figures that I had in comparison to these studio series. I mean, it's to be expected. They've come a long way in terms of engineering. This is kind of a slightly different price point, but I would say still very affordable, because you're starting to get some of those features and quality that you expect out of, again, those third parties. Yes, he does come with a pizza cutter for robot pizza. But these are such an interesting tactic, I would say, of kind of meeting the collector market halfway, but still making it relatively affordable. These are just very, very nice figures, I would say, overall. Really accurate. They look great. They pose really well. I haven't transformed them, obviously, but I'm sure they look great transformed as well. And that leaves us with just the big guy. I'm actually kind of running out of space. I might need to move some of these guys before we get to opening good old Grimlock and Autobot Wheelie here. I've seen him quite a bit at retail when I make my lunch stops at Target, but some of these other guys, like I only saw Hot Rod one time. I haven't seen him since. The other guys I think I've seen at least a couple times on the shelves, but I think Hot Rod seems to be maybe one of the more difficult ones to track down right now. They might be in stock on Hasbro Pulse, so you might want to check there. Sometimes things come back into stock even if they had been out of stock. So if you're really looking for them, I think you can find them. These are just kind of coming out now. I mean, I got them within about the last month or so. And I think they're really only starting to hit the shelves in better numbers now. Man, I really am running out of space. I don't even know where to put these guys right now. I'm just going to shove past tense cop to the back. Give us a little bit more breathing room. And then now we can really... Yeah, he a thick boy, huh? He healthy. Yeah, Grimlock, big boy. This is another one where I have a version War for Cybertron Grimlock that I thought, for me, that would be the best Grimlock that I would ever see, and that would be a Grimlock that would fully satisfy everything that I was looking for from a Grimlock. And then I saw this big, beautiful boy. He's leader class, he's bigger. I mean, again, just very accurate. He's hefty too. Like, he's got a little bit of weight to him. Just like with the other guys. Oh, he comes with a display stand that has a little depiction. Wait, thick is censored? It's not censored for me. Anyway. Yeah, Grimlock, leader of the Dinobots. He's very big in the show. Usually portrayed quite a bit taller, larger than most of your other Transformers Autobots. I think he's the largest Dinobot as well. So this is a good size for him. The War for Cybertron Grimlock, the one that I was talking about that I had always been rather pleased with. He's a Voyager class, which is technically the same size as this other Dinobot that we opened at the beginning. Oh, Jackie censored herself out of enjoying the thick. How the mighty have fallen. But yeah, I was a big fan of that War for Cybertron Grimlock, and again, for a long time, I was like, well, this is going to be my definitive Grimlock. I like the way he looked. And I still think that he's a nice figure. He's not accurate, but it's a nice interpretation of the character overall. But this guy, nice, big, bulky, and again, very accurate to the appearance of the character. You see his little T-Rex arms that are also articulated, sticking out. Why would you censor thick? What are you afraid of? Are you afraid of the thickness? All right. Yeah, very nice. I mean, he's got obviously a great retro look, but very sturdy. Again, with them big thick boots, them stompy feet. This is maybe one of the ones that I would actually be interested in transforming. I don't think that I'll do it here on stream, but maybe. We'll see. There's actually one final surprise toy that I was considering opening tonight. But again, he's got like ankle rockers. a level of articulation and joints that you are used to seeing in other toys, but I think in the past it just wasn't really a priority for these Transformers figures. He's got that nice head rotation. I mean, this guy looks nice, right? Nice big chunky boy, looks great. From what I've seen of the alternate dinosaur mode, he also is very tremendously accurate to the character. You can get a little sneak peek with the little T-Rex head. Isn't he cute? This is a cute looking guy. Don't get yourselves banned from my chat for your filthy language. Thick. He looks great. I'm glad I saw him, and I'm glad I picked him up. He will look really nice in the display with the other movie characters. At some point, I'll get a little look at how his dinosaur mode goes, but again, like nice articulation, a lot of joints that even just a few years ago you would not expect to see on a Transformer. He looks great. He looks awesome. Are you kidding me? That's really good. Is he my favorite of the night? I don't know. I really like that hot rod. That's a little bit of affection for the character, though. But this guy is just like, this is a hell of a toy. I think this is another one where I'm also just a fan of toys as like a concept. I like toys, toyetic things. This is just a guy that's a really nice toy. If you're just like a fan of nice looking toys, things that display well, I think that he kind of fits the bill, even if you're not necessarily like a diehard Transformers fan. I think this is just a guy. You got the gold, black, you got these bold primary colors. I mean, he looks nice. He's a good figure. Show you you want me to transform this boy for you? Let me see how many steps. I'll transform this Grimlock as a special request. Let me free the other little freak from the packaging. Grimlock comes with Wheelie, who's a non-transforming, like, little bonus accessory, basically. He's got a little slingshot. Grimlock also comes with his big gun. Big gun for a big boy. I think Grimlock sometimes has a sword. They didn't package him with a sword. I don't remember him having a sword in the movie, but I'm sure some third party is either already fast at work or has produced a sword that you can give your Grimlock Studio Series. I think this is going to be a popular figure. And if you have any interest in him or Transformers, I would pick him up while he's still, a little bit more readily available. Because I think on the aftermarket, this guy's going to end up becoming, thick as far as aftermarket price as well. He's just going to be thick through and through. So yeah, here's Wheelie. He's actually, wow. So he's even like, he doesn't really have articulation. He has a little bit of articulation, but obviously he's meant to just like have a very specific pose and be like, yo, I'm going to slingshot you. It's my official Wheelie impression. I don't know what he sounds like. Yeah, he's cute. He's a cute little guy. I think the idea is that you can like have him like posed riding Grimlock because he's a little guy. Let's get him out of the way. Okay. I wasn't going to transform any of them, But I guess this is the Transstravaganza. And as an inclusive stream, I think it's important that I actually transform one of these guys, since Sarah would like for me to. So we're going to transform Grimlock into his dino mode. I am interested in seeing his dino mode, so I'm not too mad. Thank you, Sarah, for pressuring me into doing this. And I mean, I guess it would be a bit of, an atrocity to not transform any of these guys on my Transformers stream. So you probably just saved me from angry YouTube comments in the future by requesting this. So, oh wait, they told me to turn him around. Yikes. Okay, that goes up. Obviously, the fact that I don't get into the transforming gimmick too much has led to me being bad at transforming these guys. As Ryan indicated, I am filthy casual, I guess. I don't even know what this instruction is trying to tell me. Oh, it's telling me to do that. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, it says I need to clip these guys together. Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm so intimidated by this process. Okay. I think that's right. I can't tell what it's telling me to do. Maybe something like that. Oh my god. This is so sad. Like if you cry every time I attempt to transform a Transformer on stream. F in the chat, please. I want to say I'm doing this correctly. I'm probably not, though. I don't know. Okay. Shout out to my friend Kira, who would probably be doing this much better than me. She's far and away the biggest Transformers fan that I know, I think. Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Oh my god. Do you want to see a 34-year-old man cry on stream because he can't transform a Transformer? It's gonna happen. I feel like I'm making progress. Oh my god. Oh, why'd I say anything? Why'd I say I was making progress? What do I do with his head? Where's his head go? Where's his head live? I guess his head doesn't need to go anywhere. No, it does. It goes down. I'm so close. I really am, guys. Oh no. Help. Help me. So there's his dinosaur mode. I think he looks great. Perfectly transformed. A true master. Oh man. I would be done if I could get his head to go down. I think his head is supposed to like slide down, and it's just not. It's not doing that. It's not cooperating. If I could get this little flat to go into the down position, I think that's all I need to do. Then I'd be able to close him up, and he would be fully transformed into Dino mode. I just don't know how to get his little head down. In the instructions, it's just like flip his head down. But it's not flipping. Oh, there we go. You just have to... They're not as gentle as you expect to have to be. Oh, there we go. There we go. I never had any doubts, folks. I was never about to openly sob because of my inability to transform this dinosaur robot. He looks great. He looks great in Dino mode. I think if he's not 100% transformed, I have him like 95% of the way. He definitely has the... look at that. Looks great. Got some nice articulation even in the Dino mode, because you can, you got the working jaw, you got a head swivel. I don't think, maybe the Masterpiece, but I don't think previous Dinobots really had the ability to do so. You got the articulated arms. Another really nice, solid Studio Series figure. He looks great. He's still chunky. He's still a thick boy. He looks wonderful. Again, highly recommend this guy, just in general. On basic principle, he's a well-designed toy, well-articulated. I think they're telling me that I can rest his gun on his back or something. I don't really know what the instructions are trying to tell me with regards to his gun. I think they're saying like this, maybe. That he can like... I don't know. He's transformed. I lived up to the request. He looks great. He talks like me, Grimlock, in the show. I'm never going to do additional impressions, but he's a charming guy. He's kind of a dummy. And he's thick, so he's dummy thick. I'll transform him back before I put him in the display. Now that he's transformed, you can really have his little friend positioned there to slingshot you. He looks great. I really like this Dinobot. Or this Grimlock, I'm sorry. This is Grimlock standing next to Dinobot. Again, maybe one of the more plain backgrounds. I feel like they gave the smaller guys slightly more interesting stuff. As far as the backgrounds go, I think Cup still wins the background wars overall. But Grimlock, this guy's an amazing figure. I really like him. Even though I was doing a miserable job transforming him, it wasn't a bad transformation. It says it's 24 steps, but I don't really... That's being generous. Or not generous. I have one more little bonus figure. They're not part of the Studio Series. They're not... Well, I guess technically... I don't know if this is part of the Kingdom. No, this is part of the War for Cybertron series. It's the man himself, Optimus Prime. This is the Netflix version. I have a nice Masterpiece Optimus Prime that for me pretty much does the trick, but he's a little out of scale with these movie figures. This guy is more in scale, and I haven't bought an Optimus Prime, I would say, since I got that Toys R Us exclusive Masterpiece, which at this point was, oh my God, maybe 10 years ago? So it's been about a decade since I bought an Optimus Prime. I decided to pick him up so that I would have somebody that was nice and in scale with these Studio Series boys so that I can toss them in. I do have RC. as well, and I picked up Alita 1. They're already in the space where I'm going to be putting these other guys in my display case, but yeah. How else would I close out the Transstravaganza but by greeting big old Prime himself? So let's get him out, and then we'll be wrapped up for the night. I anticipate I should be receiving my Professor Xavier from the House of X Powers of 10 Marvel Legends line pretty soon. Since I'll have all 7 of them, I'll be able to assemble the Build-A-Figure. So I'll probably dedicate my next stream to that. And I can spend forever talking about X-Men. The new era of X-Men is a very exciting X-Men era, as a matter of fact. So I'm excited to break into those toys for one thing, and I'm also excited to talk a little bit about X-Men, because I love X-Men. I like Transformers quite a bit. I love X-Men. You can see, unlike the Studio Series, he doesn't have any kind of like background scene or anything like that. This is also, I believe, a Walmart exclusive. I think all of the Netflix versions are Walmart exclusives. So again, he's a little bit of a different line than the other guys that I opened this evening. Maybe not the first guy. I think he's pretty much the same line as that Dinobot that I opened. But should still be of a similar quality. And again, just, with that nice modern engineering, so that I think he'll end up posing and displaying really well with the rest of the Studio Series guys. It doesn't look like he has any of those little plastic ties, so he should be easy to just... Oh, look at that. I decapitated him. Fitting since Optimus dies in the film. Maybe I could just leave his severed head with everybody else. Okay. Optimus has like some semi-iconic weapons that he used in the show. I've returned his head to him. Yeah, again, a little bit more modern engineering. You can snap him to kind of hold things in place. He's got a waist swivel. His is a little impeded by some background or backpack stuff. But legs with that improved modern engineering that you see with current Transformers toys. Yeah, good posability. I would say the Studio Series maybe still a little bit better, but pretty close, on par more or less. He's got the ankle rockers too, so you can get him into pretty dynamic poses. I think that he's probably better at posing. Oh, look at that. He's got like, he can open his hands too, kind of just like with Hot Rod. So I guess you have a little bit more display options. I guess, yeah, he's pretty much on par with the Studio Series. He comes with some of his iconic weaponry. So you can have him posing with his common, like, laser cannon thing. These are actually little transforming dudes as well, but I think they double as somewhat common weapons that Optimus uses. There might be some kind of show term that hardcore Transformer fans would know for such a thing. I think maybe that's what mini-cons are. I don't really know. Sometimes Optimus is portrayed with like a laser sword or a laser axe. And so I think that this guy, who's technically a Transformer, is actually a good stand-in for his little laser axe too. So you can see he's got kind of like a full little armory that he comes with. I think this guy's just like a shield. Yeah, looks like it. He's just a little living shield for Optimus, it seems like. I think. I could probably read and know for certain, but that definitely seems like the overall function. Kind of cruel to have like a little friend that's just a shield for you. It's just like, oh, you should absorb pain meant for me. Yeah. I mean, maybe it like, yeah, I think it like plugs in so you can see. It's kind of like battle mode. He's got his shield, he's got his axe. Pretty cool. I'll go ahead and end up displaying him with the others. Overall, I would say all of these were pretty darn good. It had been, like I said, a while since I had been buying Transformers. I had been trying to cut them out of the different properties that I was collecting, just so that I had less to collect. And having stepped away from them for a little while, I can say their current era of toys is actually really nice. If you're a Transformers fan, I guess now's a really good time to be a Transformers fan. If you've never really had toys of these guys before, a lot of like classic iconic characters are getting what I would say are pretty much definitive versions of toys. So yeah, I mean, it's a nice time. I think Hasbro and Takara Tomy have kind of hit a good quality level without being in that price range that's like reserved exclusively for adult collectors or hardcore enthusiasts of the series. Like, you can go in and you can get some really nice figures of some cool characters for fairly reasonable prices or just regular MSRP. Really nice. I'm very happy with everything that I opened tonight. There wasn't anything that I really disliked. I mean, even this little guy, he's just fun. A little fun, cute guy, Wheelie. And he's just kind of like a bonus thrown in with, again, what I would say probably one of the nicer toys that will be coming out this year, if I had to guess. But that was the Transstravaganza, accurately titled. So thank you all for joining me. Again, next stream, probably X-Men. I might do a small Lego build. I've gotten a lot of additional Lego sets, but I've kind of, every time I'm going to build one, I'm like, well, maybe I should stream this, and then I end up not building it. And so they're kind of starting to pile up a little bit. So I'm either just going to build some, not on stream, or maybe I'll hop on and do some, like a shorter stream that's maybe some of the smaller sets. But yeah, I love Legos. I have an absurd amount. My beautiful wife got me, I'll show this and then we'll wrap the stream. But my beautiful wife did actually get me one of the last Hidden Side sets. And this one has a nice, really cool, colorful sub that comes in it. Really nice set. Thank you to my beautiful wife for getting me this Lego set. But yeah, the colors, the little characters that come in it, they're all awesome. Look at that guy. He's like a steampunk ghost sheriff guy. Really nice. Hidden Side is the best. I just spent way too much money buying the haunted house. But it was a pretty decent price. It had technically been open, but it had never been assembled. All the bags were sealed. I got it off eBay for a little bit above MSRP. I mean, it was kind of an expensive set to begin with, like what, 130, I think, MSRP. I didn't do too much worse than that. It was pretty close in price. Shipping and taxes made it a little bit pricier, but yeah, routinely I'm seeing it go for like double the MSRP, and that is a shame. It's like $270 some places. It's a bummer. I saw that set so many times too. I wish I had just picked it up any of the times I had seen it, but Hidden Side, a very underrated theme for Lego. Almost all of the sets are just great. I'm not a big vehicles fan, but even the vehicles I think are pretty solid builds, or they just have like nice little charm points, good character. So that does it for today's stream. Thank you everybody for tuning in and joining me. I always enjoy this. I recently made a YouTube channel to be a backup for the video on demand, so you can check that out. Just search Matt Opens Toys on YouTube, and you can find me there. I don't know when my next stream will be. Definitely the Wednesday one next week, but I might do another one before then. And love you all. Thanks for joining. Have a good night. Bye.